Morning, boys and girls. It's Wednesday. It's April 22nd, and the focus of today's lesson is on the Earth's crust. We're going to learn a little bit more in detail about the two parts of the crust, the continental and the oceanic. In addition, we'll apply the concept of density that we've been discussing over the last couple of days, and what density really has to do with our understanding of the very important crust of planet Earth. Let's take a look at the image on the screen to the left in the Google slideshow. We'll see that the Earth's crust is the outermost or the uppermost layer of planet Earth. Remember, it's the uppermost layer because it's the less dense layer comparatively to the mantle and the core. So it's less dense than the mantle and the core. The crust is composed of two parts: the continental crust, which is highlighted here in brown with this mountain range, and the oceanic crust, which is highlighted in this very thin layer in black, which is located underneath the ocean, the world's oceans. Think water, okay? So now what's really going to be important is for you to understand that the continental crust is continents we live on. Now, the oceanic crust, kids, is the ocean floor. I want you to envision for this study that I have the ability to suck all of the oceans off of planet Earth. So imagine that I have a big vacuum cleaner that I could just suck all of the world's oceans dry. What would I be left with? Essentially, I would be left with a planet of just rock, covered rock. So when we talk about, or when I talk about the Earth's crust, I'm referring to the solid rock of the planet, the continental rock and the oceanic rock. Okay, that's a very important distinction. We're not talking about the world's oceans. Let's go over a quick review of the lesson today. So you're going to each receive a Google Slides. There are 6 in total. This is the first slide with the nice cross section of planet Earth. As you go on to slide number 2 will just introduce the lesson and give you a little bit of important information about the crust. I've already highlighted the important information, but I do require that you and suggest that you read this, okay? And the directions are pretty simple. Just follow along. Please continue to read about the specific differences on the next slide. So when you get to slide number 3, slide number 3 really has a lot of information about the continental crust versus the oceanic crust. Now, again, your textbook reading that I have assigned to you prior to this gave you a little taste of what the continental crust and the oceanic crust is, but it's just not detailed enough. I've actually added lots of detail and lots of important information in my little text boxes here. So what I would like for you to do on this slide is read and highlight for important information. So we're really looking for those descriptions that characterize the continental crust and those descriptions that characterize the oceanic crust. Highlight for those specific things for each. Now, once you read and highlight, you go on to slide 4. Slide 4, the directions read: organize and bullet the following 14 terms and phrases into their correct placement on the Venn diagram on the next slide. You will place 7 terms or phrases on each side of the Venn diagram. And I started each side for you, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So take a look at my list of words or phrases. Each of these words or phrases, where did I get those from? I actually got them from that reading from slide number 3. So you're going to use your understanding and your highlighted reading to now organize these words and phrases into the appropriate spot on the Venn diagram on slide number 5. And this is going to be really easy for you because I've inserted text boxes in the Venn diagram. And let's really go over what a Venn diagram's purpose is. It's really to both compare and contrast two ideas. So here we have the big idea is the Earth's crust. We know that there's a continental crust and an oceanic crust. We know that where the Venn diagram actually intersects in the middle, that's where similarities would be placed. And I've already written the one similarity that I want you to know. Both the continental and oceanic crust make up the thin, rigid outer shell of the Earth. So once you decide what phrase or word belongs in each section, oceanic versus continental, very simply just put your cursor into the text box, click it to open it up and start typing away. The bullets are already there for you. It's already been formatted. So this should not be difficult. You should again have 7 items from the slide number 4 that you're going to add to the continental crust, and 7 items you'll add to the oceanic crust. So I've started each one for you. The continental crust makes up the continents. The oceanic crust makes up the ocean floor. You're going to add 7 more items for each side. So there's going to be a total of 8 items then on, or descriptions on both the continental and oceanic crust. Lastly, when you get to slide number 6, here's where I'm asking you to watch a very brief video on the rock of the continental and oceanic crust, because it's all about the rock. I've been telling you since the beginning of the year. Rock is really important. It helps us to tell the story about planet Earth. So I'd like you to watch that video on the different rock of the continental and oceanic crust, and then write one new fact you learned from the video about the rock granite, and one new fact that you learned about the rock basalt. I'd like you to try and find a fact or an idea that's different from what I presented in slide number 3 with a little background reading. Please type in the T-chart below. Please type in a complete sentence too, boys and girls. Please remember you're not texting me, so don't give me some text slang. I would like a nice complete sentence with capitalization and end punctuation. Okay, so that's today's lesson, learning a little bit more about the Earth's crust and applying that physical property of matter density to the Earth's crust. Have fun.